Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are taking a look at the GT Bosses Challenge for the Fighting Legend Goku GT Edition, otherwise known as the Legendary Goku GT event. This is a pretty rough challenge. GT Bosses is a very small category, and it's even smaller when you look at the effective units for that category. I'm going to be running you guys through the team that I'm using, and then we'll talk about suitable options and what else I did try. In terms of team I'm using a full Shadow Dragons team. I found this team operated the best overall, using some pretty decent units as well. We're using the newly Easy Aid Physical Omega Shenron. We are using the Easy Aid Physical Sin Shenron. We are using a 55% copy of the brand new Tech Sin Shenron. We are also using a Int Oceanus Shenron. And we are using the Int LR Shadow Dragons Legion from the battlefield. And then to round it all off, we are using the Super Physical Nova Shenron. So, Omega Shenron obviously leads the category. We're using an all Shadow Dragon Saga team. It's kind of a big circumvention of having to run a GT Bosses team or a GT Bosses lead. So we're using a Shadow Dragon Saga. Obviously he's 170% lead. That's good. That's nice stats for everyone. He's very good. He'll be super solid the whole way through. Only the Strength Grade 8 phase. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So for now, he's going to be your number one unit. You're going to want to run Omega Shenron in the 1 rotation alongside Sin Shenron. I know it's double physical, don't worry about it. Sin Shenron, great unit, raises his attack and defense. He also has pretty high defense. I think he has around 200k. He is rainbowed, but he does have around 200k as well. And he also has a good crit chance with 7 or more key spheres obtained, which is really good. The whole team is GT Bosses, so he's pretty good. Really solid overall. Then we have on the other rotation, we're going to have Omega Shenron again with the Tech Sin Shenron. Obviously Tech Sin Shenron's kind of super duper dependent on orbs, but for the most part if you get his orbs he's like more than fine. If you don't have Tech Sin Shenron and you're looking for a running partner for the other Omega Shenron, then your best bet is going to be to run the Legions of Shadow Dragons unit alongside that Omega Shenron. So pick up that unit. You can pick them up from the battlefield shop, and they are going to be the next best bet. Okay, so if you don't have him, then select the Int LR one. The Int LR is great, by the way. Attack and defense is 70%. There's an additional attack and defense when performing a super attack. So a total boost of 240%. And key +4 when the target enemy is in attack down or defense down. Now we're not going to have that a lot, but he does provide support for the GT Bosses category. So overall a pretty good unit. Unfortunately his active skill is not going to matter too much, but you can use it for a little bit of key as well. So the Int LR units are great free to play. Honestly the best one. You can currently get 3 dupes on global, so you should have a pretty decently stacked one. It will cost you a bit of battlefield currency, but by far and away one of the best units for this stage, especially for this challenge. And then in terms of the other 2 units that I will be using, obviously Oceanus Shenron, great unit, 120% attack and defense, plus 60% when the enemy is in attack down or defense down. That's not really possible, but still decent defensively. Carries Shadow Dragons and GT as links as well, so that's a good amount of defense coming from those links, and then also raises defense for 1 turn. Now she will struggle a little bit at certain phases, but she's more than fine against the full power Goku defensively. Now she is rainbow, so that is a full disclaimer, but fortunately she is a unit that you can pick up quite a lot with red tickets. A lot of players probably have picked her up on general pool summons, so you should be okay. That being said, just be a little bit careful of using her. She is really solid though, and I think overall she's pretty decent. Then the final member we have is Flaming Avenger Nova Shenron. He's okay. He has attack and defense of 140%, which is pretty good. He gains an additional 2 ki and attack and defense of 40% when there's a Shadow Dragons category enemy, which is good for the final couple phases, because that will trigger for him. He only gives Shadow Dragon Saga category allies 40% defense, which doesn't help here, and he doesn't gain his other additional 40% because he isn't facing an extreme class enemy. Even though he is not at full abilities or full power, he's still really solid, and I would suggest bringing him. He honestly did more than fine the whole way through defensively. Now I do have 2 dupes in him, but he did do very well. Other replacements in terms of units for this Shadow Dragon specific team, the only other 2 notable replacements that I would even talk about or consider talking about, I think they literally are the only other 2 SSRs, is the Strength Omega Shenron. So Strength Omega Shenron is decent. He's got attack and defense of 80%. Overall, he's just not good enough. Like, he's just not strong enough in terms of raw power to really hang around in this event. I think his defense falls off pretty badly the later you kind of get into the event. And even though he can do some decent offense, his main ability of debuffing the enemy just doesn't exist. So it's just not great. And then you obviously have Nova Shenron, the tech one. He's decent. Obviously, raw stats wise, he's not great. If you have him Rainbow, he will be fine. He does give support to the rest of the category, which is something I think that's very important. And with him floating, he's not too much at risk, but he's definitely, I mean, he's not rocking boats or anything. He's not like gonna do huge damage or anything like that. But yeah, for the most part, he's decent. He will do decent damage. That's a bit of a stretch. He provides support and he's okay defensively. I think he sits at around 140, 150k before items, I think. So he's pretty solid. So obviously we get to the strength grade 8 phase, and this is going to be a huge hurdle for this team, and it's going to be very reliant on you getting crits. If you get crits here, you will be fine. You notice I'm popping a Whis. I'm popping a Whis straight away, even. I'm not even considering taking a turn. The reason I'm popping a Whis is I want to let the Omega Shenrons build up additional attacks if possible, try and max out their passive. It's going to be very important, and yeah, basically I just want to give some kind of breather. Hopefully we get a lot of damage in and we can damage him enough to even take him out. It's very important that you use an item during the strength phase, because we have double physical Omega Shenrons and we have a physical Sin Shenron as well. So very tough stage, very tough portion for the physical units. We do, however, gain that back in the end phase, where we have a big old advantage on Goku because he's int and we now have a lot of physical units. So yeah, the strength phase is the most challenging phase for this team. It's also very important that when you do any kind of difficult events in Dokkan, to not be scared to use an item where your team is weakest. Yes, especially in red zone and especially in these long form events, you kind of get the sense that players want to keep as many items as possible for the final phase. And this is true, but also to a certain extent, you need to also cater to build your teams to understand that where your team is weakest, you need to get through that phase so you can gain traction later on. You can see we managed to get rid of the red monkey during that phase, use the Dokkan attack, use the Whis, survive there with full health, still have 3 items left. This end phase, we are in the Ascendancy, we have all the advantage, we have all the necessary units. We're going to be having a much easier time here than we would anywhere else. So it's just about understanding where your team is and where you can save items and conserve items. And you can see here, huge attack stats will take out Goku in no time. Now, in terms of other GT bosses units, so obviously there's only one technically GT bosses lead, and that is Super 17. Super 17, unless you have a dupe or two in him, is definitely not good enough to take on this event. I mean, I say that he's okay, he won't let you down, but generally speaking, he's just more a hindrance. I honestly don't find him that great for this event. I think his damage reduction is just not good. He can get shredded by this Goku to the point where it's actually just, it's insane as to how much damage he can take, which is a bit of a shame, personally speaking, but you know, it is what it is. The Super 17, the AGL one, so if you are running GT bosses, if you are using the Tech Super 17, the AGL Super 17 is rad and very, very good. And then you also have the Strength Meta Roldo, who's also very, very good. So those are the only two units really that you gain the benefit of running a GT bosses team. Those are the only two units that are like a benefit. You literally only gain those two comparatively to a full Shadow Dragons team. So if you run Shadow Dragons, you literally only have, I would say, 2 units less than, you know, running a GT bosses team, and you don't have the hindrance of running Super 17, which I know sounds weird, but yeah, I don't find him that great for this event, honestly. I think he's just not, if you have a dupe in him, you'll be fine, but at 55%, he's just getting too chewed up. Now, you can use an item and push him through there, but yeah, it's going to be up to you, but I found them to not be so great. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So, event done. Like I said, the strength phase was the hardest. Once we got through there, just using the items appropriately. End phase took us barely a moment, and then the tech phase, you rely a bit on crits, obviously, from the Omega Shenron. But yeah, for the most part, everything went fine. And, yeah, honestly, it wasn't too bad. It took me 2 attempts. 19 minutes with a little bit of watching Bob's Burgers in between. I love that show. Really, really good. Just got Disney Plus, so yeah. But cool. Thanks guys for watching, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment if you need some help, and I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.